You and I both know something feels different about this off-season. There's a quiet tension in the air, like the front office is preparing to make a move that could completely shift the balance of this defense. And if you've been paying close attention, you can sense it too. This isn't about rebuilding. It's about taking that next step. It's about fixing the one or two pieces that held this team back and turning a good unit into a dangerous one. Stay with me here, because what might be coming could change everything we thought we knew about this roster. But first, be sure to click the like button, and if you still believe in Vikings, comment, SKOL Vikings. Something just happened that could completely reshape the Minnesota Vikings secondary in 2026. And if this prediction becomes reality, we might be talking about one of the most aggressive and calculated defensive upgrades of the offseason. Fox Sports has officially projected the Minnesota Vikings to land Kansas City Chiefs cornerback Jaylen Watson in free agency. And this isn't just another random name thrown into the rumor mill. This is a calculated prediction tied to cap space realities, roster needs, and postseason pedigree. And when you really dig into it, the more you look at it, the more it makes sense. According to Fox Sports' Top 100 free agents list for 2026, Greg Auman projects Minnesota as the landing spot for Watson, a 27-year-old former seventh-round pick who has quietly developed into one of the more reliable perimeter corners in the league. Let's break this down carefully, because the details matter. Jaylen Watson entered the league as a seventh-round pick by the Kansas City Chiefs. No fanfare, no massive expectations, just another late-round defensive back trying to survive. But what he's done since then is the exact profile you look for in a Brian Flores-style defense. Physical, instinctive, playoff-tested, and battle-hardened. In 2025, his first year as a full-time starter, Watson finished with 64 tackles and 2 interceptions after recording just 1 interception across his first 3 seasons. That jump in production isn't random. That's growth. That's development. That's a player hitting his stride at the right time. And Pro Football Focus graded him as the number 13 cornerback in football, one spot behind teammate Trent McDuffie, who is set to earn $13 million on his 5th-year option. That context is crucial. If McDuffie is valued at that level, what does that say about Watson's open market value? Now here's where this gets interesting for Minnesota. Kansas City is reportedly way over the salary cap heading into the offseason. That creates opportunity. When championship teams get squeezed financially, productive young defenders become vulnerable. And Watson has postseason credibility. 2 interceptions in 10 career playoff games. That is not small sample noise. That's meaningful production under pressure. Over the past season, Watson played 15 games and allowed just a 58.6% completion rate when targeted, surrendering 430 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 6 pass breakups, and a 67.5 passer rating allowed. 0 touchdowns allowed. That jumps off the page. Even going back to his rookie year as a 7th-rounder, he posted 49 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 6 pass breakups, and even scored a defensive touchdown. This has never been a passive player. He's always been around the football. So why Minnesota? Let's talk about the current state of the Vikings cornerback room. Byron Murphy Jr. took a noticeable step back in 2025 compared to his 2024 performance. Isaiah Rodgers had flashes, but outside of one strong performance against Cincinnati, his season was largely underwhelming. Meanwhile, Jeff Okudah and Fabian Moreau are free agents, and there's little expectation that both, or either, return. That leaves a clear need. Bodies, yes, but more importantly, physicality. Watson brings press-man capability. He brings tackling. He brings that 7th-round chip-on-the-shoulder mentality. He plays like someone who still feels he has to prove himself every snap. And in Flores' aggressive system, that mindset is invaluable. Financially, Fox Sports projects a contract in the range of 3 years, $48 million, roughly $16 million per year. That number will raise eyebrows. That's not bargain bin territory. But in today's cornerback market, a top 15 graded corner entering his prime with playoff experience? That's market rate. The real question becomes guaranteed money structure. If it's front-loaded or structured as essentially a 2-year commitment with outs, it becomes much more digestible. Minnesota isn't rebuilding. They're not in wait-and-see mode. They're in competitive recalibration mode. And one decisive move at corner could transform this defense from solid to dangerous. But that's not the only angle here. If the Vikings add Watson alongside Byron Murphy Jr., suddenly the entire dynamic of the secondary changes. Murphy is a willing tackler, but not necessarily a tone setter physically. Watson is. He plays through contact. He competes at the catch point. He doesn't shy away from run support. You're potentially one addition away from a cornerback group that can survive in the NFC's high-powered passing attacks. And that's why this projection matters. Now, I want to turn this to you, because this is where it gets real. If the deal is 3 years, $48 million, are you making that call? Are you committing to Jalen Watson as a foundational piece of this secondary? And here's why this decision becomes even more fascinating when you zoom out and look at the bigger defensive picture in Minnesota. Because this isn't just about Jalen Watson in isolation. This is about identity. This is about what the Minnesota Vikings want their defense to become over the next 2 to 3 years. If you look at what Brian Flores has tried to build schematically, it's aggressive, it's pressure-based, it's disguise-heavy. That style only works consistently if your corners can survive on an island. You cannot blitz at the rate Flores wants to blitz if you don't trust your perimeter defenders. That's just football reality. Jalen Watson has shown he can handle that responsibility, allowing just a 58.6% completion rate in 2025, giving up 0 touchdowns across 15 games, and holding quarterbacks to a 67.5 passer rating when targeting him is elite-level efficiency. Those are shutdown numbers. Those are, we can send pressure because we trust this guy outside numbers. Now think about the ripple effect. If Minnesota signs Watson, that allows Byron Murphy Jr. to play more freely. It allows the safety group to disguise coverages more aggressively. It allows Flores to dial up simulated pressures and exotic looks without constantly worrying about giving up explosive plays downfield. And remember, this is not a player without playoff seasoning. 2 interceptions in 10 career playoff games. That means something. That tells you the stage doesn't overwhelm him. It tells you the lights don't get too bright. For a team trying to push deeper into January, that matters. But let's not ignore the financial layer here, because Vikings fans are smart. You understand cap management is everything. 3 years, $48 million sounds hefty. $16 million annually places him firmly in upper-tier starter territory. That's not bargain shopping. That's an investment. The real question becomes structure. Is it $28 million guaranteed? Is it backloaded? Is there an out after year 2? Those details determine whether this is aggressive brilliance or cap overextension. But here's the part that keeps pulling me back to this makes sense. Kansas City is reportedly significantly over the salary cap. When championship teams face financial crunches, they lose good players. It's inevitable. Minnesota has been on the other side of that equation before. Now they could benefit from it. And when you examine Watson's trajectory, 7th-round pick, developed steadily, earned full-time starting role in 2025, delivered career-best production. That's exactly the kind of ascending player you want to pay before he hits full-star status. There's hunger there. There's still that underdog mentality. Players drafted in the 7th round don't forget that draft weekend. They don't forget the doubt. That edge doesn't disappear with a contract. Now let's expand this conversation to the broader free agent landscape the Vikings could explore. Because if Minnesota wants to complement a move like Watson, there are intriguing bargain options available. Reed Blankenship brings versatility and playoff experience, something the Vikings clearly value. He can play deep, he can rotate down, he can tackle in space. In a Flores system, that flexibility is gold. Quincy Williams, despite struggling in coverage last season, allowing 46 of 56 passes for 538 yards and 5 touchdowns, is a tackling machine. His 2023 campaign with 140 tackles, 15 tackles for loss, 10 pass breakups, and 2 sacks shows the disruptive upside. If paired correctly, perhaps next to Blake Cashman, that physical presence could redefine the second level of the defense. Chig Okonkwo offers durability, playing all 17 games in each of the last 4 seasons, hovering around 500 receiving yards annually. If tight end becomes a financial decision point, having a consistent option matters. Greg Newsome II de Sauind, though inconsistent late in the season, still posted 6 pass breakups and 1 interception. As a potential slot option on a short-term deal, he could add depth without long-term risk. And DJ, Reader, steady, durable, experienced within the division, brings interior defensive line stability. Not flashy, not a game wrecker every snap, but dependable. When you put all of this together, what you see is a blueprint. Not splash for the sake of splash. Strategic aggression, calculated roster layering, and it all potentially starts with Jaylen Watson. This isn't about making headlines. It's about correcting a vulnerability. It's about recognizing that the NFC is loaded with quarterback talent, and you cannot survive January without legitimate perimeter coverage. So now I want to hear from you again, and I want real debate in the comments. If you could choose only one move to start this team overhaul in the preseason, would it be to sign Jaylen Watson? Would it be to pursue a cheap defender like Reed Blankenship? Would it be to reinforce the linebacker position with Quincy Williams? Or would you focus on the defensive line with DJ Reader? I want to know your opinion. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to the channel to stay well informed. Go Vikings!